Hi, good morning, class. It's good to see you again. Okay, I hope all of you are well and fine at home. So today we are going to learn about adverbs of degree. Okay, so before this we learned adverbs of frequency, right? So adverbs of frequency is how many times something happens. Like for example, some, often, sometimes, and all that, right? You still remember, right? So today we are going to learn about adverbs of degree. Okay, degree means tahap. Yeah, degree means tahap. Tahap mana? Cukup ke, banyak ke, atau melampau. This is terlampau. Okay, it may seem similar, but there is a difference. Okay, we'll learn about this in a while. Okay, the wall is very high. Okay, dinding ni sangat tinggi. He cannot jump over it. The wall is too high for him to climb over. Okay, so from this sentence itself, I hope you can understand lah. Okay, very high means sangat tinggi. Okay, you cannot say too high. Too ni dia melampau. Melampau apa? Kan, tak ada apa-apa. So we say sangat tinggi lah. Dinding ni sangat tinggi. He cannot jump over it. Dia tak boleh lompat. Okay, kalau dia tak boleh lompat, maksudnya dinding ni terlampau tinggi lah untuk dia. Terlampau tinggi. Okay, that is when we use the word too. Too is terlampau. Okay, the wall is too high for him to climb over. Okay, so that is why we use to lah. We cannot say the wall is very high for him to climb over. We cannot say that. Okay, kita tak boleh cakap dinding tu sangat tinggi untuk dia panjat. Okay, we say terlampau tinggi. Okay, terlampau means ada batas dia lah, kan? Okay, so that is when we use to and very. I hope you understand lah. Okay, now let's look at the words very, to, and enough are called the adverbs of degree. They are used to answer the question how much, okay, berapa banyak, or to what extent, okay, ataupun sampai ke tahap mana. Okay, so let's look at the first adverb of degree, which is very. Okay, very, it means something is done to a high degree. Maksudnya ia adalah sesuatu yang sangat tinggi lah. We use sebab kita guna sangat, kan? We say it's very sweet, it's very salty. So sangat manis, sangat masin, and all that. So, something like that lah. Okay, now let's look at the example. She managed to complete the race very quickly. She managed to complete the race very quickly. So that means sangat cepat. Dia she completed the race lah very quickly. Okay, now let's look at to. Okay, to means, like I said before, melampau. Okay, it means more than enough or excessive degree. Okay, maksudnya dia melampau, dia ada batas dia dan dia dah melebihi batas. Bila dah melebihi batas, we use to. Okay, the shoes are too small for him to wear. We use too small. We cannot say very small for him to wear. We say too small, too small. Sebab kaki awak ni kalau dah besar sikit, memang tak muat. Memang dah melampaui saiz kasut tu, awak memang tak boleh pakai kasut tu. There is a tahap lah, ada tahap dia. Okay, kalau dah besar sikit, tak boleh. So that is when we use to. Alright, so next, enough. Okay, enough means, it means a satisfactory amount or sufficient degree. Enough ni dia cukup lah, something like cukup. Right, the water was shallow enough for them to walk through. That means air tu cukup cetek untuk mereka jalan melaluinya. Okay, so that is what enough means. Enough means cukup. Okay, for example, if you say let's just put enough salt in your food, something like that. Okay, so now let's look at the exercise below here. So as usual, you are going to do this in your exercise book. It doesn't matter E1, E2 or E3, you can use any books. Okay, so let's look at the first example. The bag is not big. What do you use? Big very cannot, right? Big too cannot. We use big enough. Okay, tak cukup besar. Tak cukup besar we use enough means cukup, right? Tak cukup besar. The bag is not big enough to hold all the clothes. Okay, the room was large. What do you use? Can we use large very? Cannot. Large too cannot. Okay, cukup besar juga. Ini pun cukup luas lah, right? So we use enough. The room was large enough to put all the furniture. So I want you to try 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then we're going to discuss this answer next week. Okay, so now let's look at so for this one, okay, yes, let's look at this one. Vijay's brother fell during a race. He hurt his legs and arms. He was too weak to stand up and walk. The doctors advised him to take a rest at the hospital because he was very weak to go home. After 2 weeks, Vijay's brother was well enough to go to school again. Okay, so let's look at join the sentence parts together based on the story. Okay, so how do we use this? He was too weak to go home, right? The doctors advised him to rest at the hospital because he was well enough to go to school again. After 2 weeks, Vijay's brother was very weak to stand up and walk. Now you cannot say it was very weak. You can say after 2 weeks, Vijay's brother was well enough to stand up and walk, right? Okay, so now let's look at the this one. Join the sentence parts to make good sentences. Okay, so you can just join it. Okay, you can join it and you can construct these sentences. Okay, so for this exercise, I just expect you to do maybe 5 sentences. You can do maybe you can do from this one, right? You no need to do on your own. You can just join the sentences. Like for example, the knife. Okay, how do you use this? The knife was not sharp enough to cut the meat, right? And then you make number 1, the knife was not sharp enough to cut the meat. Okay, number 2, the water, what is it? Okay, you do on your own. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you. I hope to see you again next week. Bye.